I want them to live their life instead of cribbing over what has happened. Don't come with the belief that it is a 9 to 4 job, it is a 24/7 job. Learning, understanding, application, evaluation, everything comes in there when you use Bloom's taxonomy. Philosophy called 5 A's. It starts with Arogya, attitude, academics, and then artistic and athletics. When you continue to do your lesson planning, keep evaluating yourself.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Great Principles. I am Seema Chhoriya and I welcome you all to another episode on Great Principles. As children, while playing or studying, we never realized that one day we would have to choose to be a leader or to be led by someone else. The only things that matter are the happy moments we spend together, yet unknowingly, we learn skills that shall one day write our success stories or actions which disappoint. Join me today to hear my proactive guest speak on why teachers need to be more creative in lesson planning. Please join me in welcoming my guest of today, Ms. Pongal Punitha, and she is Chief Academic Officer of Excel Group of Schools, Chennai, Thiruvattar in Kanyakumari districts. Welcome to Great Principles, ma'am. I'm really honored to have you with me.
Thank you very much, Seema, and a happy evening to you. Thank you for having me on this show.
Ma'am, the privilege is all ours. And when we were a little researching upon you, we got to know that you have so many things to share with my viewers. So before I tell, they'll be really happy to know from you what has been your journey in education like, what has been some challenging and rewarding moments as well.
Thank you, Seema. To start with, I started my career as a primary teacher, but school teaching has never been on the front in my plans. I was born into the silver spoon, got into a wrong marriage. I would always put it on record that I took up teaching in a school to feed my two girls, to buy provisions for my family, is what I would say. From then on, I was only a graduate when I started to teach in a school where I started my career as a first starter teacher and a spoken English teacher. Thanks to my teachers who taught me English in Kamalavati High Secondary School, Sahuburam, in a CBSE school those days. So my dad had sent me 15 miles all the way up and down on a horse cart for my primary education. So with that gave me the strength to face life. So I started doing my MA English. I did both the years together at one stretch because I wanted to become a postgraduate in English. And then also I went into my BEd in IGNO. I finished it in a BEd in IGNO, and then also I've completed my MPhil in English literature. So it was only the necessity that the pulled me or pushed me into this profession as a teacher in a school. But later, when I had a experience, a rather a bitter experience with one of my principals, I felt standing outside my principal's room, I said that 5 years down the line, I want to get into a place there. Without even knowing, to become a principal, you need 5 years of teaching experience. Believe me, 4 years, 11 months, I was there as the principal of Chennai Vidyalaya Tirunelveli at a 32-year-old in a 32-year-old organization. So this is how I started my principalship. From there on, it has been like 6 years in Prince Chinmaya, and then a few years with Velamal, and then on, it has been a real roller coaster life for me, especially in my profession too. I have two girls, so with all this, uh, I had to take care of my girls, so I had to leave out a full-time profession, take a part-time job or a job where I could be on my own. So then I became a consultant. I was with newly startup schools, giving them the system, giving them SOPs, training their principals, training the teachers. So that is when I understood that more than a principal, I was more comfortable in a much more responsible position, because I am known for delegation of responsibilities. I delegated so beautifully, and after a few months of time as the principal, I don't have work to do, and so I keep challenging myself. I create work for myself. I create new systems. We have conducted inter-school events in schools with 23 teachers entertaining 3,200 children. 32 events on a single day. So it's not just academics. I would rather say the holistic personality, which my primary school gave me, the base, which we structured upon later with various experiences in Chinmaya as with values and in Velamal with systems. I started creating my own SOPs for various schools. So I started getting into schools, working on analyzing the existing structure, then moving on to giving them their plans, what I can do in their school, what difference I can make in their schools. So for the past 3 years, I've been on my own, running my own training company, the Infant Leaders Academy. I didn't want to get into a full-time job, but right now I am in Excel a group of schools as the CEO, just because we know each other. We have been friends, and we know each other for the past 30 and odd years. So my friend runs a group of schools, and where she said, "Come, it's enough of running about. Come settle down in my school." I have come here just because of the ideologies that match. I've been working with schools where they wanted only the commercials, and not many of them were interested in the children. Here, I'm with the management who is more interested in the children than what he makes out of it. My chairman, Dr. Sri Kumar, spends any amount of money. He's not bothered about what he's spending if he knows that the children are going to be benefited out of it. This school was started with just 3 children, among whom his elder daughter was the first student, in the front yard of their house. Now it spans around, I don't know how many acres he has, but then blocks and blocks of buildings. And we have around 2,600 children in 2 different schools, in 2 different curriculum. We have our Excel Global School and Excel Central School here in Thiruvattar, and our Excel Global School in Chennai. So here, if you look into the infrastructure of what we have you ever heard of a library called an Oxy library? We have a library which is open to the public of Thiruvattar with a few books stacked there. What does my chairman mean by an Oxy library? There are few bamboo trees. Underneath you have chairs, and you have lighting for every book. So you can come there. Bamboo releases a larger quantity of oxygen. So if you are stressed out, if you go sit there for a while and read, you calm down. So this is the kind of research that he does. And we have billiards. I asked him, of all games, why sir billiards? And he told me that for billiards to get into the ball, you should have an eagle's eye focus. The present day's children somewhere lack focus. So just to inculcate that focus in children is why I brought in billiards. We have a laboratory called STEAM laboratory, which the astronomy is also included with the STEM, and also we have a culinary lab. We have brought in a carpentry lab. We have everything on earth. We have a tailoring unit, and children are introduced. We have a very big investment on music. We have our own media, like media settings. So everything is in-house, and whatever he wants. We recently, last week, we had our university expo where we had representatives from 70 universities, national and international, visiting our campus and giving our children the exposure to higher education. It was not to our own children. We invited our neighboring students, like from the villages, from the government schools, from the private schools also. So this is where we are. So here I feel probably this is my search. Everything. He has a lot of formulae for learning. For teaching, he has formulae. For learning, he has formulae. So if you look into his formulae, like most of it, he has been using such formulae for the past 13, 14 years. And I was researching on that, and I found that such papers have come out from various universities, Oxford and US universities in 2020. So today I was just telling him, sir, we'll have to go for some patenting, because intellectual property, you seem to be very much proactive. So when you said proactive, compared to him, I'm nowhere proactive. I've so far thought that I'm very proactive, but then when I go to him, I feel, no, I don't know much. I have to learn a lot. So this is where we are, and this is why I'm here right now with Excel Group of Schools.
Wow, it's so great to hear the ideologies which is being followed here at Excel Group of Schools. And when the entire institute's focus is children, then there is no limitation for the school to grow. As you said, that from 3 to 2600, and it's growing. The kind of thought process with the visionary leader has, and with coupled with your expertise, I'm sure there is much more innovation that we are going to see in the school. NEP is talking about all these which has already been implemented and executed well at the school level. Wow. So, this such wonderful things to understand that there are people, those who are so thoughtful about education, and those who, by education, they actually mean education for life, not just the scholastic one. So, it was
Very
great to
true.
know about Excel Group of Schools, ma'am. So, moving ahead in a conversation, ma'am, here you just mentioned about that you did your masters in English and all, and MPhil and all. Your core subject is English. So here, I would like to understand from you. I come across so many people, many in leadership role also. Though their language is very good, though they have good command over the language, they're very feared in speaking. They're fearful. I can't present myself. I can't talk. So why does this happen? How at school level can we help children to be able to fluently present themselves and communicate well in this language?
Wow, it's my forte actually. In public speaking and putting them on stage is my forte. Give them the opportunities. So, if give them any number of opportunities. In our school, we have around 32 or 33 intra class events. So every day there is an event. Every other day there is an event. So we have something called TEDxl. We imitate TEDx and we call it TEDxl because it's at Excel. So every day there is an assembly happens in 5 different venues because we want more number of children to get onto stage. And the sixth place is TEDxl stage. So it's just like you give them ample exposure to get onto stage. Children start developing the stage fear only when they are conscious and they become conscious of the stage. So expose them to the stage as much as possible before they become conscious of themselves. So the primary children, the more you expose them onto stage, I can tell you, like I'm standing so confidently only because of my primary teachers, because the amount of experience. So I'm the first female to become a graduate from my village, and with no background of educated parents or whatever, my dad's thirst was there to send me to such a school. Here we are in a place in Thiruvattar where my chairman says, like, when he went to Chennai for learning for his masters and his MPhil and his research, he felt that these children, this rural children, are deprived of the opportunities that the city children have got. So he wanted to start a school. He could have done so many things actually, but then he wanted to start a school because he wanted to give that exposure to the children. So only thing is, I come from a school where I got that education, and here I'm in a school where whose ideology is that. So we put children on stage everywhere. Teachers don't get on the stage at all. Any program is completely taken by children. Teachers play a backstage role. So when we can introduce children so much, because let them make mistakes, allow them to make mistakes. Again, like repeatedly listening to my chairman, I keep quoting my chairman because he says failures are your data. Failures are your data. So learning, we say failures are our learnings, but he says failures are your data. Pick up from that data and they will themselves learn. You will see them growing up. So you will see, I have seen children who were in assembly 1 year ago with so much of diffidence, after a year, who come and do the entire comparing with so much of confidence. So I've really, like, I remember one child who, like, I just couldn't control myself that I went and gave him a hug and a kiss on his forehead because I've seen him grow so much. So when you can allow the children, when you can put the children more on stage, allow them to express themselves without being judgmental. That is where we miss actually. Finding fault when they are doing, do it with a smile, do it with a pat, do it with a encouraging word. Tell them that you did so much, but then, and my children will come to me back again, ma'am, you said that I did well, but I know that you had something somewhere because saw your eyes moving this side, I saw your frown a little. So they observe so much, they come back and they ask us, and then we talk about what could have been better. So instead of appreciating in public and encouraging and to do next to the next level in private is the practice that I feel will take children or teachers whomsoever. We have teachers, teachers in the staff meetings. We have something called a book review. Every week we have a staff meeting where the teacher has to come and present a book that she's reviewed the previous. So we give them the calendar the whole year. So they come and they present a book. So they are given an opportunity to present before a group. So they, that is where we miss actually. And then we also have a teacher's talk time. So they come on stage, they do practice. Again, the calendar is given long, beginning of the year itself. So they have a lot of time to prepare. So many of them who are comfortable, they come and they do a lot of practice with me, or they make me speak, record it, take it with them, come back and or record it and send it to me and ask them to review it and give them a feedback. So we are very open to learning. So even now, even for adults, public speaking, we can really take them. I'm with Toastmasters now. Like I'm pulling everyone into Toastmasters now because there is a forum where you can really. I can tell you that I'm talking without my filler words very much. I've stopped using a lot of filler words because of Toastmasters. So a lot of evaluation happens and you're able to speak time bound. So these are factors that we will have to work upon and work. That's it. Like forget the pain, as you always know. No, that allow yourself to be chiseled. Let it go and let the beautiful sculpture image, let this beautiful sculpture emerge from that rough stone. Then definitely we'll become better public speakers and confident individuals or leaders.
Absolutely, ma'am. Completely agree with you. So schools can do the right thing by giving the right start, right kind of exposure from the beginning. And when you teach peers that someone who is not comfortable in speaking, you need to encourage them, not to mock them, or just make fun of them. And even teachers, and you rightly said, we try to put out the fault when the someone is performing. Rather, appreciate in public and criticize, or whatever you want to put remarks, tell them in private, so that they emerge as a better person and a better speaker for the whatever activity they are doing. And this is where I think major people fail. Yeah, they will just interrupt and say, okay, go, this is not your forte, get someone else. And then the child never gets an opportunity to excel in the area he or she is weak. Right. So very
Very true.
wonderfully explained by you, ma'am. And I'm sure with the kind of knowledge and kind of expertise you have, all coupled have brought this thing very beautifully. That only one thing is there. Give them the opportunity and see what magic
Yes,
happens. Nothing else is needed. So
very
very
true.
wonderful is that. So, ma'am, now we will move to our rapid fire round. Here, ma'am, I'll ask you a few questions which you need to answer me in one word, or one sentence would also do.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Great. So we start with
Ready.
our very first question here. So my first question to you is, what do you do to relax yourself?
I read, I play with my grandchildren, or I sleep.
Okay. What is your biggest challenge?
My challenge is my physical fitness. Exercising is my challenge. That is where I really am unable to put myself into continuous action. That's my challenge.
So sports education is something very important, and physical fitness needs to be inculcated at school level now. So so that seriousness carries on as when we grow as adult.
Very true.
So so moving ahead to my next question, what legacy would you like to leave behind?
Uh, wow. My legacy that I would like to leave behind is as a solid female who stood tall amidst all odds. One. And the second one is in the education industry. I would like to be the forerunner of quite a lot of things where people will look upon. I will live forever in the minds of educationists. That's one. And the third thing is, I really want to establish my own school. And I want that to be there standing tall ever through my generations as my legacy. And another thing that I would like to tell you is like, I really have a dream of becoming the president of India and inspiring
Wow.
people. Like quite a lot of
So
things actually. I want to release my autobiography on my 60th birthday. which should serve as a kind of a lesson for females, especially deserted females. I want them to go strong. I want to face them. I want them to face life happily. I want them to live their life instead of cribbing over what has happened. Let us face it. And we have gotten children, and let us make our children also happy and feel proud of ourselves. So I want my children to be proud of me. This is one thing that I would really love to.
I wish that all your thoughts and all your whatever is there on your to-do list do come true. And so now coming to the last question to you in this segment, what advice do you have for the newbies in the education industry?
I would not give it as an advice. I would just give it as a suggestion. See, when we get into this education industry, it is called service industry. So first thing is, don't come with the belief that it is a 9 to 4 job. It's a 24/7 job, because every time your child, your class student, is there in your head. When I talk to my dad about my children, when I say children, my dad will tell me, first make it clear: is it your school children or your own children? Who are you talking about? So this is how it goes in. Our children are there in our heads 24/7. So first thing, and we are not handling inanimate things, we are handling lives, the future generations. So let us have that responsibility. If you're going to take it as a job, as a means for your living, please don't take up the job. Take it with soul and your heart and head, heart, and life, and everything for that matter. If you can only do that, get into this work and indulge. When you really engage yourself and indulge yourself deeply, you will see the joy of it. And believe me, money is not the only thing. You need money. Yes, I need money. I don't say it, I didn't deny it. But it will come to you in right quantums at the appropriate time. I'm talking out of experience. So, whatever be it, do not focus on that money part alone and take up this job. Take up this job, dive deep into it, give your all, and you will see the results in all sides, all angles, in all aspects of your life. This is what I would like to tell the new younger generation, girls and boys who would like to get into this industry.
Absolutely. Some very honest and very fun answers we got from ma'am here, and I really love the advice. Keep doing the good thing, and every rest will follow. So this is the advice that ma'am has shared here. And one more point which I really loved was that life will keep throwing you in some of the other challenges, but it's up to you whether you want to just go deeper or just want to stand tall. So you have to write your own destiny. It's all in your hands. And ma'am is an inspiration for all the women out there, that whatever, just fight it out, and here you are. So coming up now to the last question of the show on lesson planning. So ma'am, here you are also working as the post of chief academic officer. And gone are the days when we used to teach the children what we want to teach. Now we need to teach the children what they needs to be taught, because
Yes.
there is so much information available everywhere. So how do you make your lessons plan more creative so that a child asks more whys? Child's critical thinking, creative thinkings, comes in place. So I would like to understand from you.
And you will let me into the answer yourself, because this is where my chairman, Dr. Srikumar, puts his idea first. Allow the children to ask more questions. Questions. Are we giving them ample opportunities to ask questions? Did in every lesson plan he will have a question? Did the teacher lead the child to ask more questions? How and why? What were the tools used? What were the patterns used? What were the questions asked? So here, when you take into Bloom's taxonomy, the 6 levels of learning, if you can take that as your crux of your teaching, of your planning for that matter, when you base on your planning based on all that, you will see that creative thinking, critical thinking, in all everything coming into learning, understanding, application, evaluation, everything comes in there when you use Bloom's taxonomy. So here what we do is, everywhere we call this as he has got a philosophy called 5 A's. It starts with arogya, attitude, academics, and then artistic and athletics. So these five. So this five as A's will have to be incorporated into the lesson plan. So you can see it on our website even. And then like everything, what is an individualized activity and how is it going to be created into a group activity? So thereby discussion, sharing of ideas, accepting, denying, communication happens there. So much of discussion. So when they know to accept others' ideas or blend others' ideas, or merge it and create their own new ideas, all things happen here. And the classroom, the climate is always student friendly. Don't give, allow them to ask. So the teaching, when the planning is happening in a way expecting the children to ask more questions, I don't waste my energy. Gone are the days when I had to talk for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour. But here, ask a few questions. You will get knowledge more than what you had from the children. So much, so much. And believe me, whenever I have a doubt with something, I go to the children, I tell them, like, look, I have a doubt like this. What do we do? They say, ma'am, give me a day, give me 2 days. And then without me doing anything, I learn a lot. I was in a class observation that day. Our teacher was doing a topic on, I think it was mangrove forests or some forests, which is kind of marshy. Okay, so he said in a habitation is difficult to cross this area. People cannot cross this area and go to that area. So when he was talking about one part of the land where this forest were there, one child immediately asked him, "Sir, then did COVID go there?" So the teacher was so spontaneous to tell him, come on, that's a research topic. Go. Do it. It was a class 7. He said, go research it. And you know one thing, our lesson plan has a research aspect in every concept. The children are given research-based questions. So this teacher, instead of even these researchers, allow the children to ask and you pick those questions. So this teacher immediately picked up that question and he asked, like, which group is going to do that? Come on, you take this research questions and do it. So allow the children to explore, and you don't have to prepare much. The only thing is go through, have clarity, because when they ask for a doubt, they expect you to answer. And but even if you don't know the answer, be open. I'm sorry, children, I think I'm not very clear about my answer for this question. Let me explore. Would you mind exploring? And you will have enough to ask more. It's asking more again. So continue. Your lesson plans is somewhere Bloom's taxonomy. Have questions on all that. We have worksheets based on all the levels of Bloom's taxonomy for every concept. So when we do a concept, the teacher is expected to prepare question papers based on all the 6 levels of learning and put it. We have folders at the back of the classroom and it is there. So it is inside and the children go in. There are some mandatory levels you'll have to complete and the others are extra for the child's knowledge, depends on the child. So if we can work, see again, I hope you understand that it's only teacher preparing the child to explore. It's more of an extended learning that we work upon. It's only leading them to explore than me giving me or dumping whatever I know on them. And most of my learning has become outdated now. So I am in the process of unlearning and relearning. So how much are they learning and relearning? How much teachers? So we have a lot of teacher training, which is conducted by a chairman, and now I do a few training. So we are churning continuously. So when you do that, when you continue to do your lesson planning, keep evaluating yourself. It's not every time you have to write a summary of your own performances. There are a few questions where you introspect and give your own grades. So you do that. When you do that genuinely, you will know where all your areas for improvement are, and then you work upon those areas. You become better individuals. So it's this process of planning helps not only at school in the profession, but it works on your personal level also. We are so used to planning ahead. Similarly, even if you go to kitchen for preparing your food before you come to school, you're so planned, because planning becomes your habit unknowingly. So he says, create, connect those synapses, make them alive, keep them alive, strengthen them by reinforcement. What we do in class is what we expected our teachers. It happens your personality, and the whole life becomes more vibrant, more enthusiastic, more happy also. He's more, when I came in, the only one condition that I had from my chairman was, please ensure that my happiness, the happiness index of my teachers should never at a point go down because of you.
Wow.
So working on that for every little thing is where your lesson planning will take you to. Let's not see it in isolation for your classes. Let us see that as a way of tuning, fine tuning, refining, defining our own selves.
So, hearing you, I understood one thing that by these kind of practices, we are not only making children learn a concept, rather, we are making them a lifelong learner. As you said, that you get this habit unknowingly of being prepared, planning, and putting that things into a proper, systematic, organized manner. So, and this is where everyone talks about that our education doesn't give us this quality of being a lifelong learner. So, with these kind of small adaptations into our lesson plans, much needed change will automatically happen. And I think, ma'am, hearing you, one thing is more, I think your school is a model school for everyone who is debating how are we going to execute or implement NEP 2020. Because in
NEP
Maharashtra
is
now,
nothing but NEP is nothing but like what you're doing already, and only it has to, we have to probably record it now and ensure that we are working on that a little on.
yeah, because when you mentioned that you people have carpentry lab, tailoring lab, most of the schools doesn't have that. Especially in our country, we call these work as not to the very upgraded work and not for our children. But this is where our children don't develop all the necessary skills. They don't know the value of their 1 hour. You ask
Yes.
anyone today, what is the value of your 1 hour? We don't have question because we are used to our monthly salary. So we don't value the hour. So that, these kind of differentiated learning is needed so that a child understand the different aspects of his life, the timings, the money invested, the time invested, the knowledge gained. So that is why I mentioned that, and when I read this document all over about now it is being going to be implemented in Maharashtra, NEP from 2020, 23, 24. So I was just reading over and over again, and I said, see, this is the model school. It's already doing everything. Whatever is
Thank you.
mentioned there in terms of teacher training, in terms of class lesson planning, in terms of skill development, everything. So wonderful session, ma'am. They got to learn a lot from you, and I'm really happy to understand that these kind of schools do exist, where
We do.
children and teacher both the school which is not only child centric but also take care of what is their staff doing, because ultimately a school is people's place. A building or amenities
Exactly.
cannot get it successful. So it was great to hear you, ma'am, and I'm sure my viewers have a lot of ideas today that how can they make their school a model school which develops a child holistically. So thank you so much for your time and sharing your ideologies with us.
It's been a pleasure, Seema. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting here and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am.